Got it back. And let's see if that starts to stream.
Let me see if I can see it as well.
Think so. Yeah, I think it's coming up. Think it's coming up. Come on.
Yep, we on there.
We on there? We starting up? We starting up? We starting up? Come on, man. Boom.
What's going on, Coach?
We live? Okay, cool. We live. All right. Had to restart the YouTube stream, ladies and gentlemen. But again, welcome again to the 1-1 Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I am Mr. Bennett with my partners, as always, Shawnee in the building, the coach, Brother Dante. He's in the back. Hopefully he'll join us again shortly. But again, we thank you guys for being with us once again on this day before the NFL draft. So again, lots of sports action going on. We got the NBA playoffs going on. We got the draft tomorrow, so we're going to chop it up on those two subjects. Apologies, I'm going to say right off the bat, certainly to our guy Anton. I don't think we're going to have time for any NHL coverage tonight. So, again, if you want to drop something in the chat as far as scores and whatnot, all I know is the Devils are down 0-2 in the series. That's all I know at this point. So I apologize ahead of time to you that we may not get into covering hockey certainly tonight. But thank you all for being with us this evening. And, certainly, again, apologize for the technical difficulty getting the show started. But just to get a quick pulse around the room, the coach is in the building. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, Mr. Bennett? What's up, Shawnee? How y'all doing, man?
Doing well. Brother Shawnee, what's going on, sir?
None, just enjoying this multi-view on YouTube. Got both of the.
You finally got YouTube TV? You got YouTube TV? It's nice, ain't it?
Whoa, hey, Dante, you're there you go. Oh, it won't go to landscape. It won't go to full landscape mode for you.
No, it won't go to landscape. I'm barely able to get my headphones working right. That's why that left out.
All right. Well, you sound pretty good. So we'll take you as is. But again, everyone, certainly as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. Certainly supports the algorithm tonight. And again, if you consider dropping a Cash App, certainly to the Black Man Filtered Network, or to certainly to our Cash App scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And certainly good to have guys in the building. Brother Anton, again, I already apologize ahead of time. Not sure if we'll get into NHL tonight with all the hockey, with all the basketball and the NFL draft tomorrow. So certainly, but appreciate you being here. Marcus early in the building tonight. Let's go, Dub Nation, stand up. And obviously, New Jersey always in the building. And a guy, Trey Ferg, is also in the building tonight. It's good to see you guys tonight. So we're going to talk about the NBA since the draft is tomorrow. So we're going to get into a lot of the NBA action that's going on at this time. So I want to give our Dallas natives, well, our Dallas transports. I won't call you natives because you guys are from Houston, but your Dallas transports here. I got it. We can't start the show off without having you guys address this issue. So obviously, here you had Nico Harrison once again had the debacle, if you want to call it a press conference last week, and it just so had, and that garnered a lot of, criticism, in terms of how they tried to, control the narrative. And then he does another one, I guess is more public, and then he has the audacity to say that he had no idea that letting go Luka, that he had no idea of the crowd reaction, the fan reaction to it. So it just, they say when you dig a hole, stop digging, and he just keeps digging a hole. So I just want to before we get into the NBA and certainly the playoffs that are going on as we speak, certainly I want to give Dante and Shawnee the floor. What's going on with Nico? Why can't he just, go on vacation? What's done is done. Talk about next year. But it's like every time he opens up his mouth, he just doesn't make the situation any better. So what is going on with Nico and this Dallas situation? What do you think that's really driving the way they've been handling this since the trade of Luka? So we'll start with Shawnee, and you let us know what's the pulse now. And it's interesting because this is for I got to give him credit though. He's kept Jerry on the sidelines, which is the only thing you really hear out of Dallas. So the fact that he's been able to keep Jerry off the front page is a miracle in and of itself. So Shawnee, what you got? What you got on this here, sir?
It's basically the fans are still feeling the same way they felt when Luka was originally traded, but it's really Nico who's really just keeping the flames going right now. Like you mentioned it, he just needs to get past it. What's done is done. Luka is a Laker now, and you could tell because if you paid attention to the previous postseasons, I know this is probably just the ups and downs of a fan base. There was fans here locally that were getting frustrated with Luka's constant, complaining to the refs, lack of defense, and just stuff like that. So it was but he was so young when he came to the league, so you're like, okay, eventually he would mature out of that. But you always knew he was a great offensive player, capitalized offensive, defense is nowhere to be found. But the team tried to, especially last year with the players that they gathered, tried to overcome that with Luka, that weakness. That's why that was one of the main reasons how they made it to the NBA Finals. And because he's just so offensively great, he became a beloved figure within the Metroplex, but there was still complaints about him and his defense and stuff like that. So, especially the way the previous postseason went, there was people saying, man, we got to trade Luka just to frustrate fans, but they wasn't really expecting it. Because normally a player of Luka's stature, if he's about to be traded, you would have heard something. And the fact that it happened so instant and so sudden, and then couple that with the package they got in return, that's why the fan base is so pissed off about it. But now it's literally, they still pissed off about it, but they literally pissed off because they going back to something that Nico said. He just keeps talking about it, and you could tell, I guess, I really don't think he was expecting the Metroplex to come at him this hard. Because when it happened, he didn't want to really be seen. You remember when the trade first happened, they was kicking fans out the arena, was just saying fire Nico. It was getting to him, and then you saw him kind of watching the games and stuff initially from the shadows, literally, because he didn't want to get too much of the fans. So he just kind of, sheltered himself before really, okay, now I'm going to start addressing it. But now he just keeps addressing it. Like, okay, dude, the more you address it, the fan base is never going to move on. And those are happening. It's going to help. Now they see Luka on TV, and we just got kicked out the play-in tournament. But, yeah, he's basically the fan of the Flames now. The fans are going to be the fans. Just tell them, hey, look forward to next year. If they get a full team back next year with a healthy Kyrie, hopefully after Christmas time, then you may see a Mavericks team that can go to the Western Conference Finals.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he said, and I do, certainly the squad. I mean, the issue is, again, guys staying healthy. I mean, certainly we all know Davis is always hurt these days, and now you got Kyrie with that injury and whatnot. So again, I mean, if you look at the team on paper, it's a decent squad that can certainly go some distance or whatever. But again, just the ignorance when it comes to the fan base or whatever. I just think that it seems like the owners may be putting him behind this, and he's just a sacrificial lamb that's going to just take all the heat.
Well, this whole thing was Nico. I remember some people, people like, oh, the owners have no. This whole scenario was created and started by Nico. And the owners are like, okay, if this is what you
actually, let me back it up a little bit, because I was also hearing some news that it was actually the coach who was getting tired of Luka because of his lackadaisical. So he kind of went to Nico, and then Nico then made the proposal for a trade. At least that's why I was hearing. But
yeah, this whole thing was spearheaded by Nico.
Gotcha. Dante, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay, so what I'll say is, as a native. As a forward native and being in the Metroplex, this is going to go down as something that's right up there with like a Cowboy story. It might be right under like a Jimmy Johnson type situation, because for you to let a guy go and then not just trade him and not get the value, but to be arrogant about it a little bit, and defense wins championships, and be scared about it. He can't sit in his seat, which in the beginning, I don't blame him. He was getting, death threats and stuff like that. I don't blame him sitting in the seats. But at this point, if he wants to make things right, ownership can only make it right by letting him go. Just because it's so bad. Like, I was listening to Ramon Jones, and he was like, look, there's been word that he's probably never going to work in the NBA again. And then obviously, Nike-wise, you traded Luka, Jordan brand Nike. So going back home to Nike, that's probably not going to be the best interest. So, like I said, he's probably made good share of money as a GM and with Nike, because I think he was over North American. So he was over. He had a big role, obviously, knowing Kobe and Kyrie and others. So it's just like not only did he handle it wrong, and it is, from what I've heard, for months, he put the whisper in the ear of Dumont, like, hey, we should make this happen. Only problem is Dumont is a new owner. When he said, we got to the championship games and not the finals, that was a tip-off that's like, dude, you're really wealthy, but you don't really know what you're in. You don't know basketball like that. Over the years he'll probably get better, but he made a great mistake as ownership, no matter how you put it, no matter they talked you into it or you did it. You should have gotten outside counsel to be like, hey, that's not a good idea. And you could have, I don't know, they were trying to step away from Mark Cuban. Because that article that Tim McMahon did was really good. You were trying to step away from him and have it on your own. He would have told you, not only is this bad for basketball, this is bad for business. Tim McMahon, he also reported today, they probably gonna, over a number of years, lose like $1 billion worth of business. So it's just like, yeah, you didn't pay him the $345, but not paying him that, your sponsors are pulling out left and right. Then at the same, somebody made the right decision in the middle of the Luka trade to announce that, hey, we're going up on season ticket prices. So everything that Nico Harrison, he hasn't gotten backed up good by the ownership. He hasn't got picked up by the organization by doing things like that. The promo video they tried to do, the hype video, everything has just been bad. So it's like he at least has to stand up and be out front and be vocal. But now I would say probably something else that's sneaky. When he's trying to build a team this offseason, every GM's going to be like, okay, let me fleece Nico. It's going to be like kind of what the Lakers were seeing with Rob Pelinka when he first got the GM. Was like, hey, let me fleece this guy. Let me try to throw anything at him. Because, essentially with the Lakers trade, you got fleeced. You didn't get enough first-round picks. They were talking about Giannis today, who's older than Luka. They was like, I heard Kyle say, man, you got to get like 4 players and 5 picks. They got a prominent star in this situation, but you got a star that's on the downside of his prime. And you only got 1 first-round pick. You got a role player. You got a role player and a first-round pick. And that's just not enough. So, I've heard a lot of people like, I saw Trey was in the comments, just like, hey, he definitely traded him to the wrong team, and you didn't do a good enough job of play the season out, open it up. You could have kept it quiet or if there was worthless about it, just denied it. But he should have took it to the summer and let it be a bidding war. And then now, of course, Luka's going to get some command and be like, hey, what teams do you want to go to? But this is I'm glad the playoffs are here, and they're off to a decent start. But I'm ready for the story to go ahead and go into the background because they were eliminated. But he did such a bad job of doing PR that we're still talking about it. 2 months, almost 3 months later.
Man, let's be real, man. First of all, he panicked. First of all, they was in the number 4 or 5 seed in the middle of the season. Luka has been drinking beer since he started playing basketball. Now his defense may have been a little light, but they had young guns that was over hurt. Lively them had been hurt. They was coming back. You go get an old ass AD who's subject to miss 30 games a year at this point of his career. Luka, you could have had Kyrie coming back. They had some young bodies in there that were strong. Get another point guard, make Luka get in shape before you sign him that multi-million-dollar contract. Or if not, you can get some drive. You can get something from him, but you can't replace Luka. You can't replace it. People see it. And he messed up for the city. It's going to hurt him. I don't think he's going to be around next summer to even make any decisions regarding the Mavericks. It's going to hurt the city financially because they ain't got nothing to do right now.
Well, I'm seeing in the comments.
He ain't got to play
yeah,
defense. James Harden don't play defense. He done got 2 supermax. It don't matter. He can get 35.
yeah, because the frustrations amongst the organization was getting with Luka because Luka was going around the organization with like a big head per se. So they was getting frustrated with that and the fact that defense or whatnot. But he's still your franchise player who just took you to the finals. So we all automatically assumed that Luka is going to get the supermax contract. But yeah, this ownership basically is brand new to basketball. They in the casino business. They don't know anything about basketball. That's why when Mark Cuban sold the team to them, what was told to DFW was that he was still going to be in control of basketball operations. So that's why when the trade happened, we looking at Cuban like, how did you let this happen? And then Cuban basically putting his hands up like he had nothing to do with this. So basically, this whole thing happened when the Lakers came to DFW, I think January 7th, and there's even like a picture or video of Pelinka and Harrison at like a coffee bar or shop or something. That's what they had literally.
They was making the deal right there.
They was making a deal like old school deal. Like nobody knew besides the owners. Like nobody knew. So they literally discussed this right there in the coffee shop. And next thing you know, bam, trade was in the works and it happened. But yeah, this ownership had Cuban hired Harrison. And before this deal, Harrison did a pretty good job with the Mavericks. So he was on the good graces of the fan base. This one deal completely wiped, and they don't even care about Nico no more. Everybody fired Nico, chants coming out everywhere. So, yeah, this current ownership, they literally depended on Nico. They don't know nothing about basketball. They're a casino. They whole thing was to come get the Mavericks and try to put a casino in the arena, which was declined. So we don't know. We don't really know if they did this to agree to do this to piss off the fan base, so they can have a reason to try to move the team. But you got to get the other owners to agree to that. So yeah, that's basically what they're working with.
And keep in mind, how long has this ownership group been in? Because I know obviously they have new ownership. When they bought a team last year or this year? When did the purchase take place?
I think last
year, last summer.
I think it might have been 22 when it came out.
Oh, 22. Oh, that okay. Yeah,
I'm not sure when Cuban.
Yeah, this is not under, I guess, the Cuban regime, so to speak. I think this is all under
Harrison was hired by Cuban.
Right.
Yeah, Nico was hired by Cuban, and then what the story angles at for that Tim McMahon wrote that basically Nico cozied up to Dumont and kind of pushed Cuban out. He's been getting power. I'm sorry, 23.
Right.
Appreciate that for Trey. But yeah, he kind of pushed him out, and he gained the power. And the thing is, all the goodwill that he built up in the moves that he was making from, getting out of other bad deals and players that they didn't want to, getting, with not, I won't say spare parts, but getting solid role pieces like Lively and PJ Washington, and then making a finals run to just dismantle that. And Trey, I see you in the comments saying about giving the guy a supermax. That's your worst defender. Defense is definitely important, but they didn't hinder them as much as far as getting them to the finals. So my thing is getting to the finals. If you can get there,